Okay, so I just finished doing my color wheel and I started the camera back up again. So as you can see, I left you off with, I believe it was yellow and red and then all the oranges. And then I just moved through mixing my blue and my red and I got my violet. Add a little bit more red to my violet, I get my red violet, and then add some blue to your violet, you get blue violet. And then the same with the greens. So it doesn't take too long to complete, but that is a completed color wheel using just the primaries. Okay. So when we look at this, it does a little bit more than just organize the colors as they mix. What we're really looking at is all the colors that you can get. So, and again, this may be a review from intro or painting one, but if you take any color that is opposite of each other on the color wheel, that is called the complementary color. So when they're opposite and they put side by side next to each other, they're going to complement one another. They're so different. Yellow and purple are so complete opposites of one another that when they sit next to each other, they kind of make each other pop. So you can use that in your painting if you want to grab people's attention. So complementary colors grab people's attention. Okay. And the same is true for orange and blue and red and green and the different tertiaries that are sitting across from each other. However, what happens if you mix your complementary colors together is that you're going to get with some type of varying degree of neutral or browns, really. So that's what I want us to look at next. How do you get different browns? So I'm going to start with just the yellow and the violet, but I'll talk about it first. So we took red and blue, to make our violet, and we're mixing yellow into it. So essentially what we're doing is that we're just mixing our primaries all together. So when they're opposite, violet has blue and red in it, and we're mixing with yellow, we're going to get some type of brown. So I'm going to slide the paper over a little bit and show you what I created. Ooh, if I can do this. It's a little trickier here at home. Alright, I'll do it like that. So I just made a little line to divide my next little area, and I made 3 long rectangle boxes. Just quickly sketched them. I used a ruler to try to keep it nice and neat. I have a little bit of a shadow here. So if you want to pause the video and do that quick before you move on, definitely just hit the pause button, sketch out 3 long rectangles. It doesn't really matter the size as long as there's enough for paint to mix in between. So if you pause it, great. Or if you're just going to watch it first and then do it, that's okay too. I'm good with either way. So I got some new water. Here's my clean water again. And I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. Before we took our paintbrush, mixed it in the tray, and added it straight to the water. That's taking it's kind of like wet on dry. The paper itself is dry. We can actually put water directly onto our paper and have the paints kind of mix together themselves. So that's what I'm going to show you here. But you do need clean water for that. So I'm going to take my brush, I'm just pushing it into the water. I'm going to brush just within inside my rectangles. You just want to get that part wet. And you want enough to get the paper wet. Don't just get it kind of damp. You want it to be wet. You want to have that paint to be able to ride onto something. So you can see it change color a little bit. I think there may have been some pigment in my brush, but that'll be fine. I'm going to start with the yellow first, just because I have something that's relatively clean. Grab some water. Grabbing my paints now. And for this, you can use the prime or the secondary and the primary in your tray. You can use the violet in here. You don't have to make your own. So I'm just going to take my paint. I'm going to put a big heavy coat way at the top. And you'll see it starts to bleed. If you can kind of see it start to bleed down, that's what we want. We want that paint to kind of fall down towards the bottom. Okay? So I'll clean my brush off, get some more water, and now I'm going to go into my violet. Try to turn my tray so you can see. Go into the violet, and I'm going to do the same at the bottom now. Put my paper so you can see maybe. I'm going to take my violet and push it in. It kind of, I don't know if you can see how it kind of moves up on its own. And you can drag it around a little bit. But what we're interested in, I'll dry my brush off, clean it, is we're interested in where those two meet. So I have a dry, clean brush, and I'm just going to kind of, almost like you're erasing, I'm going to drag some yellow and some purple back and forth. And what we're interested in is the color that those two make together. So I'm just going to kind of back and forth, And again, they are the most opposite they can be. So what you end up with is this little transition of brown in the middle. Now, you may not like that color. However, knowing how to make that color is important. And knowing that if you use your complements together, you get that color. So that's what we're trying to see. So I'm going to clean my brush off. I'm going to do the next. I'll do orange and blue. Usually I like that color blue quite a bit. I just have to readjust my paper a little bit. Sorry. Oh, things are a little harder here at home. Okay, so I'm going to load up my rectangle with water again. Try to keep it kind of nice and neat. Really, the paint will only travel where you put the water. So if you're using some decent brush control to keep it within these rectangles, that's what we're looking for, just like that. Okay, and then I'll start with the orange. I like to start with the lighter value colors. I don't know why, I just like it better. So I'm getting some orange, get some more. I had too much water in my brush. You don't want it to be too thin. You really want to be able to see what orange it is. So straight across the top. It's kind of flowing down a little bit. Yours may not flow, and that's okay. My paper's getting kind of crinkly because it's thin. But it should stay within that rectangle anyway, because that's where we put the water. Dry my brush off, and now I'm going to grab some blue. And that's not enough blue. Let's really dig in there. There we go, that kind of helps. And you can see it's starting to push back the other way, and already it's starting to make a nice little brown for you. Move it up that side. Get nice. A little too much water, that's okay. I'll just dab off that little extra so it doesn't get too muddy. So that sponge I gave you, you can use paper towel, and you can actually lift color back off from your painting if you get too much water like I just did. And just lift that away. There we go. So I'll clean my brush off, and I'll just do that little back and forth to try to blend them together a little bit better and get some type of a brown. Bring that water down. So again, if we think about what we did, we mixed all of our primaries together. Orange is yellow and red, and then we have our blue. However, our neutrals, or browns, are going to be different, and that's important too. And then finally, we'll just end with our red and green. So I'll get my square wet, or my rectangle wet again. And I'll pick up some red, go across the top. And that looks good to me. And then I'll grab some green and put on the bottom. And now I will take my brush and I'll kind of mix those two together. Just bring the red down and the green up, and see what kind of neutral brown colors that you get. Okay, just like that. So those are your complementary colors mixed, as well as your neutrals getting mixed together. So if you could, I'll try to do these sequentially, and we can just follow along as the week progresses, and then you should have a lot of color theory and different techniques to do. So, okay, thank you.